I can see 23 of you, but only 1 or 2 videos. So it's nice to see more videos because it only helps me know that I'm talking to a lot of people. How many of you from Karnataka? Because Swamiji mentioned that there are quite a few from Karnataka also.
Almost all are from Karnataka, except 4 or 5.
Okay.
Most of them are from different districts of Karnataka. We have from Ballari, Belgaum, Davanagere, Tumkur, Chikmagalur, Bangalore rural.
Okay.
Yeah.
ಅದೇ ನಾನು ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವನ್ನೇ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಬೆಳೆದಿರೋದು ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರಲ್ಲೇ.
No, that is the best connect actually. Otherwise, we would have not catched up so fast. And moreover, your college mates are here. In the sense.
That's right.
Yes.
So how many from BMS?
Yeah, you can raise hand. The camera ತೋರಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದವ್ರಿಗೆ. You get at least 8. Here we have in the room 3. Another 5 are on the line. They are at home, attending from the home.
Okay. That's good. So I can start.
We'll start with prayer. One formal prayer, followed by introduction. One of our senior student, Abhishek, he will start the program. Namaste, Abhishek.
Namaste, Maharaj.
Yes.
ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ಬಂಧುಗಳೇ, ಮಿತ್ರರೇ, ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಮಾತುಕತೆಗೆ ಮಂದಿರಂನಿಂದ, ಮನೆಗಳಿಂದ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಮಂದಿರನ ಜೊತೆ ಗುರುತಿಸಿಕೊಂಡಿರುವಂತಹ ಹಲವಾರು ಬಂಧುಗಳು ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಈ ದಿನದ ಮಾತುಕತೆ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಬಿಫೋರ್ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಯೂತ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಚೇಂಜಿಂಗ್ ಟೆಕ್ನಾಲಜಿ ಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ಸ್ಕೇಪ್, ಈ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ATCS ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಲ್ಟಿನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರು ಚೈನಾದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಝೂಮ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಜಾಯ್ನ್ ಆಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ವಿಷಯದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದಕ್ಕಿಂತ ಮುಂಚೆ ಕೊರೋನಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡೋದು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋ ತರ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ನಮಗೆಲ್ಲ ಗೊತ್ತಿದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಅದು ಒಂದಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ತರದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಫೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದೆ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಸರಿ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ, ಸರಿ ಹೋಗ್ಬೇಕು. ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಗೆ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗಳು ಸುರಕ್ಷಿತವಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋದ ಹಾಗೆ ರಾಜ್ಯ, ದೇಶ, ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸುರಕ್ಷಿತವಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ನಿಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ವಿಷಯ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ನೀವು ಮಂದಿರನಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಸರ್ವೇ ಭವಂತು ಸುಖಿನಃ, ಸರ್ವೇ ಸಂತು ನಿರಾಮಯ, ಸರ್ವೇ ಭದ್ರಾಣಿ ಪಶ್ಯಂತು, ಮಾ ಕಶ್ಚಿತ್ ದುಃಖಭಾಗ್ ಭವೇತ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರತಿದಿನ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀರ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುವಂತ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗ್ಲಿ, ಜೊತೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಾಣಿ ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಿಗೂ, ಪಶು ಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಿಗೂ ಒಳ್ಳೇದಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅನ್ನೋ ತರದ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ ಅದು. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸುಖವಾಗಿದ್ರೆ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಾನು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನಾನು ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಕಣ್ಣ ಮುಂದೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಟ್ಟ ಹಾಗೆ ಭಾಸವಾಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ಥರದ ಭಾವನೆಯನ್ನ, ಈ ಥರದ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯನ್ನ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡು ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯ ಮೂಲಕ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡೋಣ. ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯನ್ನ ಪೂಜ್ಯ ತದ್ಯುಕ್ತಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ರವರು ನಡೆಸ್ಕೊಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ವಿನಯಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ.
ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಓಂ ಶ್ರೀ ಗುರುಭ್ಯೋ ನಮಃ. ಹರಿ ಓಂ. ಗಣಪತಿಂ ಹವಾಮಹೇ ಕವಿಂ ಕವೀನಾಮುಪಮಶ್ರವಸ್ತಂ ಜ್ಯೇಷ್ಠರಾಜಂ ಬ್ರಹ್ಮಣಸ್ಪತಃ ಸಾಧನಂ ಮಹಾಗಣಪತಯೇ ನಮಃ. प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती द्रवतो आनो दिवो बृहतस्पर्वदादा सरस्वती यजतागन्तु यज्ञम् वाग्देव्यै नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरिः ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। पवित्रं च जगतं यस्य पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिण्यै तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः। नमः श्रीविद्याधराय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। हरिः ॐ।
ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾಗವಹಿಸಿದಂತೆ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಮುಂದಿನ ಭಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಆಯೋಜನೆಗೆ ಸ್ಫೂರ್ತಿ ತುಂಬದಂತಹ ಪರಮ ಪೂಜ್ಯ ಶ್ರೀಮದ್ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ತದ್ಯುಕ್ತಾನಂದಜಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜರವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಮುಂದೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಚೈನಾದಿಂದ ಝೂಮ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರು, ಇವರು ಮಲ್ಟಿನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಂಪನಿಯೊಂದು ATCS ಅನ್ನುವಂಥ ಮಲ್ಟಿನ್ಯಾಷನಲ್ ಕಂಪನಿಯ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜಿಂಗ್ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂಥವರು. ಅವರು ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮನ್ನ ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ಮಾತನಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅವರಿಗೂ ಕೂಡ ವಿಶೇಷವಾಗಿ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಕೋರ್ತೀನಿ. ಮತ್ತು ಮಂದಿರಂನಲ್ಲಿರುವಂತಹ ಹುಡುಗರು ಮತ್ತು ಝೂಮ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಮನೆಗಳಿಂದ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿರುವಂತಹ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಸ್ವಾಗತವನ್ನು ಕೋರ್ತಾ ಮುಂದಿನ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋಣ. ಈ ಕರೋನಾ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಈ ಕರೋನಾ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂಥರ 1 ವರ್ಷದಿಂದ ನಮ್ಮ ಜೀವನವನ್ನ ಅದು ಆಕ್ರಮಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಬದುಕು ನಿರಂತರ, ಬದುಕು ಸಾಕ್ತಾ ಇರತ್ತೆ, ಬದುಕು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರತ್ತೆ. ಬದುಕಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವೆಲ್ಲ ಆಶಾವಾದ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೇಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಜಗತ್ತು ಈ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಏನು ಅಪೇಕ್ಷೆ ಪಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ, ಏನು ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋ ಪ್ರಯತ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಒಂದು ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲೂ ಇಟ್ಟಿರ್ಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ದೇಶದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಜಗತ್ತು ಏನ್ ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಹೊಂದಿದೆ ಅದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಜಗತ್ತು ಏನು ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಹೊಂದಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಡೈರೆಕ್ಟ್ಲಿ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಲೇಟ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಣ್ಣಿಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಅದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಕಲ್ಪನೆಯನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಿಕೊಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಡುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಭಾವಿಸ್ತೇನೆ. ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯಾವ ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಇದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವೇನು ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಶುರುವಾಗಿದ್ದು ಮೊದಲು ನಮ್ಮ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ದೇಶ ಮೊದಲು ನಾನು ಮಾಡಬಲ್ಲೆ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ಮಾಡಿ ತೋರಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಬೇಗ ಕಾರ್ಯೋನ್ಮುಖವಾಯಿತು. ಅದೇ ರೀತಿ 6.5 ಕೋಟಿ ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಾಗಿದೆ ಮತ್ತು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಈ ದೇಶದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿರಂತರವಾಗಿ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನೇಷನ್ ಕೂಡ ನಡೀತಾ ಇದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ದೇಶಗಳು ಕೂಡ ಈ ದೇಶದಿಂದ ವ್ಯಾಕ್ಸಿನ್ ಬೇಗ ಸಿಗಲಿ ಅಂತ ಕಾಯ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂರುವಂತ ಪರಿಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ಅದಲ್ಲದೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಈ ವಿಷಯ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ನಾವು ದೀಪಾವಳಿಗೆ ಪಟಾಕಿ ಹಚ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ದೇಶ ಸುಮಾರು 3,000 ಕೋಟಿ ರೂಪಾಯಿ ಖರ್ಚು ಮಾಡುತ್ತಂತೆ. ನಾವು ರಾಕೆಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ 3,000 ಕೋಟಿ ಪ್ರತಿ ವರ್ಷ ಖರ್ಚಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಈ ದೇಶ ಮಾರ್ಚ್ಗೆ ರಾಕೆಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕಳಿಸಿತ್ತು 400 ಕೋಟಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಜಗತ್ತಿನ ಹುಬ್ಬೇರಿಸುವಂತೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಲ್ಲದೆ ಈ ದೇಶದ ಒಂದು ಶಕ್ತಿ ಏನಿದೆ, ಈ ದೇಶದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಏನಿದೆ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋಗಿದೆ. ಇದರ ಜೊತೆಗೆ ನೀವು ನೋಡೇ ಇರ್ತೀರಿ, ದೇಶದ ತಾಕತ್ತು ಪ್ರತಿ ದಿನ ಹೇಗೆ ಚೇಂಜ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, IPL ನಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶ್ವದ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಆಟಗಾರರು ತುದಿಗಾಲಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಂತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಭಾರತದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು IPL ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪಾರ್ಟಿಸಿಪೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ವಿಚಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಾರತ ಮುನ್ನುಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಇವತ್ತಿನ ದಿನ ನಾವು ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ತೊಂದರೆಗೆ ಸಿಕ್ಕಾಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು, ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಬಹಳ ಬೇಗ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಇದರಿಂದೆಲ್ಲ ಬಿಡುಗಡೆ ಹೊಂದಿ ನಾವು ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಚಿಂತನೆಯನ್ನ ನಾವು ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರಬೇಕಾಗತ್ತೆ. ಅದರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಬೆಳಕನ್ನ ಚೆಲ್ಲೋಣ. ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ವ್ಯಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅನ್ನೋಂತ ಒಂದು ಪದ ಇದೆ. ಅದ್ರ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ, ನೀವು ನೆಲದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಿಂತ್ಕೊಂಡು ನೋಡ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆ ನೆಲ ಒಂಥರ ಕಾಣ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ. 1 ಫ್ಲೋರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ನೆಲ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. 10 ಫ್ಲೋರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಿ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಆ ನೆಲ ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನು ಹಾಗೆ ನೀವು ವಿಮಾನದಿಂದ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಆ ಭೂಪ್ರದೇಶ ಏನ್ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಬೇರೆ ತರ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಆದರೆ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ಜಾಗದಿಂದಲೂ ಕಾಣುವಂತ ದೃಷ್ಟಿಕೋನ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಷ್ಟು ನಾವು ಆ ಭಾಗದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚು ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಇವತ್ತು ಈ ದೇಶದ ಯುವಕರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ವಿಶ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾವ ರೀತಿಯಾದಂಥ ನಿರೀಕ್ಷೆ ಇದೆ, ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತಯಾರಾಗಬೇಕು, ಯಾವ ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಇದೆ, ಚಾಲೆಂಜಸ್ ಇರೋ ಕಡೆ ಒಂದು ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಕೂಡ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಮಗಿರುವಂಥ ಚಾಲೆಂಜ್ ಏನು, ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಏನು, ನಮಗೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ತಯಾರಾಗಬೇಕು, ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ದೊಡ್ಡ ಮೇಲಿನಿಂದ ಇರುವಂತ ಒಂದು ವ್ಯಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ನಿಂದ ಇವತ್ತು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ 7:45 ತನಕ ಮುಂದುವರಿಯುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಮಾತನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿ 8:15 ಅಥವಾ 8:20 ತನಕ ಮಾತನಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಒಂದು ಸಂವಾದದ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ, ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಏರ್ ತರ ನೀವೇನಾದ್ರು ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ ಕೇಳೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅವಕಾಶ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಯನ್ನ ಕೇಳ್ತೀರಾ ಅದನ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಈ ಝೂಮ್ ನ ಚಾಟ್ ಬಾಕ್ಸ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರನ್ನ ಎಂಟರ್ ಮಾಡಿ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಆ ಆರ್ಡರ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆಗಳನ್ನು ಕೇಳಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಈಗ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕಿರು ಪರಿಚಯವನ್ನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಮೈಕನ್ನ ಟ್ರಾನ್ಸ್ಫರ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಹಾಗೆ ಕರ್ನಾಟಕದವರು, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರಿನವರು. He completed his bachelor's degree in engineering from BMS College of Engineering between 1997 and 2001. ಡೆಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ನಿಂದ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ವೃತ್ತಿ ಜೀವನವನ್ನ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದಾದ್ಮೇಲೆ 6 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಇನ್ಫೋಸಿಸ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಮತ್ತು ಚೈನಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಜೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ 2011 and 2017, he headed the sales of Infosys China in Beijing and North China region. From 2017 till present, he is the managing director of the multinational company ATCS in China. He is presently working as the managing director of ATCS. ಇಷ್ಟು ಇವರ ಕಿರು ಪರಿಚಯ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಶೆಟ್ಟಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಉದ್ದೇಶಿಸಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಳ್ತೇನೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಅಭಿಷೇಕ್. ನಾನು ಆ್ಯಕ್ಚುಲಿ ಕನ್ನಡ ಅಷ್ಟು ಫ್ಲೂಯೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾನು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷಲ್ಲೇ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಆದರೆ ವಿ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ ಆಲ್ವೇಸ್ ಸ್ವಿಚ್ ಬ್ಯಾಕ್ ಬಿಟ್ವೀನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಅಕಾರ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಟು ಹೌ ಎವ್ರಿ ಒನ್ ವಾಂಟ್ಸ್. If you have questions, you can ask me in Kannada. You can always feel free to ask me any questions. And also, I like it to be interactive. First of all, thanks Abhishek for setting the stage in terms of overall giving the context of Corona. I think today, in today's words, basically, if we take a look at the world, there is a lot of changes happening across the globe. When we look at technology transformation, when we look at Corona, now people are working from home, no matter whether you are in Itanagar or whether you are sitting in the remote locations of Karnataka. Everyone is still able to study, still able to work, still able to contribute. So this is also going to change a lot of things, how the future of technology, future of work would be. So in today's session, actually, I thought what I wanted to do is to go through my own journey. I mean, I started like most of you all in studying in Bangalore, going through the regular struggles of studies and also trying to make my way up through the ladder. And what I want to share with some of the youth today is what was my personal experience and what makes the difference. That is first part of it. The second part of it, I wanted to talk about some of the technology trends and how things are going to change in work for the youth, no matter whether it is India, whether it is also outside, but there's a lot of impact that is going to happen in the near future. Third, I wanted to talk about what has China been doing for the last 10 years. I have spent about 12 years in China between two different time period. And in those time period, what I have seen is China has transformed itself from certain manufacturing hub for the world to leading a lot of different aspects in terms of technology, in terms of products, in terms of different areas. So I would like to share, because I have been here, there is a lot of skepticism about China. But in general, I want to share what is my experience been out here and what Indian youth can probably do better or do differently in the years going forward, because there is a need for some change. And lastly, we can open up to the question and answers as to how our youth can actually plan for the future. If you have any questions related to personal or country specific or experience specific, we can always talk. But I understand that there are people from BSc, there are people from different backgrounds. So I will not very focus on technology specific only, but also generally as to what people or students right now can plan their future careers. So let me share my screen. I think someone has to allow me to share the screen. ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರಾ ನನಗೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಸ್?
ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ, just please wait.
One second.
You can start, sir.
Oh, thank you. Stop. ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
Yes. Able.
So I think Abhishek set the context also very well as to in today's
Yes, we can see that.
okay. In today's age, we can, and there is a lot of impact to because of corona, and also a lot of people planning for so in terms of my own experience, I mean, I have been in China. Just one second. Okay. So I'll just go through my personal introduction. I think in summary, Abhishek has already introduced my part of it. In terms of overall, what I have done ranges from, I have actually spent almost 20 years in IT industry. And in terms of overall experience of mine, I have done different types of roles within the IT industry. And that was a very conscious choice. So I have tried always to learn different aspects of the industry. And now I feel I have probably worked on every aspect within the IT industry, which is the path to my becoming a managing director at this stage in life. So if I take a look at it, what I want to actually talk about is a principle that I always follow, and like how Swamiji also mentioned about the comfort zone. Most of us start work, we study, we try to get a job, but then there is, your aspirations are probably to get a job in a comfortable life. But I think if we take a look at it, growth happens outside of the comfort zone. And that is a mantra that I kind of believe, that every few years, every few once I start learning or achieve my goal, then I decide that I have to move out of my comfort zone into a different zone to challenge myself, to learn something new, and to do something which is going to add to my skill or learning as a regular aspect. So, what I actually want to share today in terms of the overall plan was when I started and worked in when I was studying in school, I was very hardworking. I was among the f- probably I wouldn't say among the top, but at least I studied as hard as I could. So the other philosophy or what I felt was important was to try and give my 100% and then leave the rest to God. So when as a student I always had a learning mindset, so I'm trying to plot my career and skill as a path for how I have followed it. During my student years, I have taken a look at it as my main goal to be knowledge acquisition and to learn whatever I could in from my classes, from outside, etc. And the skill that I was focusing on was to try and understand my subject as well as possible to the extent that I can. And not only about the subject by itself as to what is required for the syllabus, but to understand a little more deeper from practical purposes as to where it can apply. As a student, I think what is very important is the soft skills, which is you have to have a curiosity mindset. You have to try to know more about things, try to explore beyond whatever is told to you. And that would be one of the skills, soft skills that you require. So I'm trying to put everyone the things into my goal, my hard skill and soft skill. And during my uh, engineering, actually, it was not very easy for me. We had some, because of my dad's business, we also were facing some financial situation. But what I actually tried to do during that time was to actually set up a small company. We that time mobile phone in 97, a mobile phone and SIM cards were very new, and I had already joined engineering. But to add to some financial help for my family, what I started was a small agency for Airtel dealership. I started hiring some salespeople during studying for engineering. But that time it was kind of out of the box. I had to do multiple things, but I also discovered my true passion. My passion during uh, uh, my student years, I realized, was entrepreneurship, or to try and become something to create some business of your own, to create something of your own. That gave me the highest pleasure. So during that time, actually, my student years was mostly about, first of all, a learning mindset and curiosity helped me learn more things. And then, in terms of always thinking out of the box, or to even do something on your own, gave me a view of what my passion was. So, as a student, I think you have to focus from your own side, one, about studies, but the second thing is also to see what is it that you're truly passionate about, because that may help you in what your future path is going to be, because that will help you excel. And why this entrepreneurship experience was important was because then I realized that my future career has to be towards entrepreneurship step by step. So in the second part, I was actually in my early job years when I started going and when I joined Dell and after that Infosys. There was a difference in terms of, everyone was young, everyone was doing their work, everyone had their own priorities in terms of work or other things. I think at that point in time, there are always some things that you have to consider as to what is it that you want to do. Because again, it comes to what is your comfort zone and what is not, what is beyond your comfort zone. So during that early job years, what I looked at was to try and contribute to the ecosystem that I was working in the sense that how can I make a difference to the job, to the company, to the team that I was working with, and how can I overall contribute in a positive manner to everyone around me. So that basically was my initiative mindset. So in my initiative mindset, what I did was to try and identify opportunities within the company that probably they needed help on, some things which were beyond, maybe just to do some training for some people or to take up some initiative within the team to make something better. So I would identify initiatives that were not only a part of my job, but also something that contributed to the ecosystem. So as an initiative mindset, I think was very important because it always tried to make me look up one level higher as to what would be the challenges and how I can help everyone. My hard skills were, of course, technical skills, and then in the later on, it became management skills. But in terms of soft skills, I actually started skills like taking the initiative, contributing to the team, trying to put myself as a leader in some way, and this actually helped a lot. In some way, that is, first of all, some of these things that I did were not even related to my job. Sometimes I did training, sometimes I did even recruitment for the company, and this actually took me to some places because I was good in coaching people or training people. I was selected from Infosys to set up the SAP division of Infosys China. Infosys China in 2007 was just 200 people, and SAP team was not even set up. So I set up the first SAP team there after training the people. I did the first batch of projects. I came with a team of Chinese. I took some projects from India, started delivering it from China because the global customers wanted to get it delivered from there. So I did all those, but those were only possible because I took a lot of initiatives and then people felt that I was good for that. And normally, what I did was during that time, I always tried to work as per the role above me. So if I was a developer, I would see what is the role and what is the skill required to be a team leader. If I was a team leader, I try to always have and build the skills of a project manager. So I always try to have and hone my skills of one level above where I was, so that I don't have to wait for promotion, rather I can qualify for promotion. So that was one of the things that helped me across. And during this time, I was always building my overall skill so that I can get into my MBA. So in terms of my next part was, I had done about 8 years of experience in Infosys. And during that time, what I learned was different aspects of project, team, structure, all that I learned. And I also built my own personality to take leadership initiatives to become a bigger part of the ecosystem. So during that time, in terms of my aspiration was triggered for doing the MBA when I was in engineering. I realized that I liked the business part of companies. I wanted to move towards MBA and do some the business side of things. So what I set up was, when I wanted to go into MBA, it was more because I wanted to understand the industry as a whole. I also wanted to take a look at the bigger picture. What is microeconomics? What is macroeconomics? How can we make a difference to the world beyond one company or one project. So that is what I wanted to learn as a part of my MBA. And I actually tried 6 times to get into MBA. As in, I actually worked between, first I tried for IIM, and there is no harm in telling that I failed 5 times or almost 4 times trying for IIM. I was always 96 percentile, 97 percentile. I did not qualify for IIM. Then I tried for ISB, and then I decided that, okay, I wanted to do only ISB or above. And at that point in time, I was my friends were already in ISB. They told me that there are certain qualifying criteria which I will not meet, so I should probably try something else. Then I tried for IE Business School, or I tried for some of the top 10 to 15 business schools of the world. But I always kept my goal very high. So I didn't try to compromise on my goal. Rather, I kept it high and tried to achieve that. So after many years of actually trying, I got into IE Business School, which when I did my MBA was ranked fifth globally. Now it is between fifth and 10th, or fifth and 20th. It oscillates, but it's been among the top 20 business schools at least in the world. So this was something that I kind of focused on in terms of what was my skill. I wanted to learn the hard skills of business and entrepreneurship, and IE business, which a school that I joined, was one among the better schools for entrepreneurs. Someone has a question? No, I'll continue. Yeah. So in terms of there are, the reason I am emphasizing between hard skill and soft skills is because as an experienced in the corporate world, what I realize is it is not only your hard skills of knowing the technical very well, but there are a lot of soft skills that help you grow within the corporate world. So you have to always think about the overall picture about what you need at what stage in your career, in your student life, etc. So I always had a very clear view of what are the few skills that I wanted to achieve every time I made a move. So when I was in Infosys, I was already kind of managing projects, and a lot of my colleagues were happy with managing projects. But I pushed myself out of the comfort zone. I had to take a loan. I had to put a lot of things at risk, but do my MBA to learn something that I had defined for myself as a skill that I wanted to acquire. And at no point in time did I want to do this because it is only because it was a higher paying job or something like that. It was only always prioritized by what am I going to learn and what can I achieve by learning that. So that is what I always kept as a priority. And in terms of that, in the stage 4, when I came back, when I finished my MBA, what it kind of also gave me the confidence was, okay, because I did from a good business school, it kind of gave me a confidence that I can go talk to people, interpersonal skills, meet people from across the globe, talk to them, and also coming from a good business school then gives you a good reference point that, okay, you have some qualification that you have achieved that as a starting point. But it is only a starting point. It doesn't help you beyond the starting point unless you really bring value of your own. So once I finished my MBA, I was looking at it from what my previous skills were, that was in IT, and then to take a look at business development as the next step, because I had already done project management, I had already done technical work, but I wanted to understand how to grow business in a new part of the world. And I actually was called back by, I was working in Singapore, but my bosses called me back to set up Beijing division of Infosys China. So previously I was working with Infosys China Shanghai, and Beijing was a very new unit. So they wanted me to start and grow the Beijing side of it. And then I went on to kind of grow Beijing and then North China market in terms of business for IT. So what helps is always your understanding of IT. My foundation in IT was strong, so I could talk to my customers, I could impress them, I could give them ideas and values, and that helps in terms of business development. When you're into business development, you're essentially uh, building relationships with your customer, and they have to trust you for the value that you bring. So you have to always be uh, uh, understanding to the technology trends. You should aim at becoming the partner to the top management of a company. So you have to always bring more value than they have in terms of their understanding of this current systems. What was different was when I was into technology and project management, I was not very time sensitive. I was happy when the project was going live. I had once a project was over, I was also very relaxed. But in business development, you never relax. You always have a time sensitive and result orientedness mindset that I had to build. So I had to shift my own personality to start doing this, that okay, within this 6 months I have to achieve a certain target, and for that I have to do this. So this actually is a shift of personality for me in terms of how I had to do. So every time, every role will give you a different skill and learning that you have to aim for. And this actually kind of helped. Now, because I had done all these different roles, I was kind of, after within now 6 years of working in Infosys China, I had already built the team to about 100 people. And then I was thinking, what next? So that is when actually the other saying, this is also very similar to what we talk about, that outside of your comfort zone, the biggest inhibitor to the best life is a good life. What I mean by that is that when, at Infosys, after 5 years, life was good. I had a corner office. I had a lot of people reporting to me. I had learned and built my accounts. It was quite comfortable in some way. But when I take a look at it, I was like, okay, what was my original goal? My original goal was moving towards entrepreneurship in some way, and looking at how I can do something slightly bigger. And that is why I did my MBA. That is why I did my business development. So then I thought, okay, Infosys will give me a good career with good growth. I was already associate director. I would become director, etc. But is that what I really want? So then I actually shifted my focus, and I got an opportunity to start a very small company. So ATCS is a multinational company, yes. But when I was planning to join ATCS, they had a very, very small presence in China. They basically had one project and one small office with 2 seats to start with. So to join ATCS was a little like, okay, to put me completely out of my comfort zone, to take a risk at a point when the only thing I did that was because I had to take myself from the comfort zone of business development to managing a company as a whole. So my current boss also put it to me like that you should think about ATCS as an opportunity to be an entrepreneur, but without too many of your financial challenges, because we have some money. You don't have to worry about the money every day. So that is why I started started ATCS. So we kind of started ATCS with 2 members in China, and that is the only presence in China. Globally, in 2017, ATCS had 300 people. So I was working for Infosys, which has 2 lakh people, and then I was going to go to a company which was 300 people. That's a huge difference. And for me, it was about whether I'm going to really be able to create something, whether I will fail. And if I fail, then what else? Will I have learned enough to even sustain my failure? So in this, but what I saw was I definitely will learn a lot of things. I will learn in the sense that in this role, I can become a leader. I can set a vision for the company. I can be like a startup, like my own company, just that it is with someone else's money for now, but I still had to be bootstrapped. I have a fixed budget. I cannot spend beyond that. I had to think about how to run a company in reality. So I started with the ATCS in 2017, and there is a difference when we start with small companies like this. The difference is that uh, in Infosys, I did not have to introduce Infosys to any customer. They always knew Infosys. They always knew that, okay, we were a big company. Nobody would ask you why should they give you a project or why should they give you work, because they assume that you already have people. But with ATCS, nobody really knew ATCS. Nobody even now knows ATCS in China to say, okay, ATCS is that company. So I had to leverage or build our own reputation from scratch. So I had to identify niche and new areas where I can provide value to my customers. I can make that difference that, okay, we are not just another company, but we bring this kind of value. And at this point in time, word of mouth becomes very important. You don't have room, you have a small team. I had 2 people. With 2 people, I had to look at what I can achieve, and now we are 20 people. But of course, I have some team in India, other places, but I had to really position myself and look at how to grow. And the only way we can grow while being a small company is either if you're innovative, or if you have new and interesting ideas, or you have to have a very good value for which the business is ready to say, we want this company. Because for most of the companies, if you position yourself like an Infosys or other company, they don't need to choose you, because the other companies can do what you do. So you have to find a niche, you have to create your own value, and you have to sell that value to look at it. The second thing I actually am very proud of doing during this time as a country head or managing director was to try and look at how Indian IT and China can really cooperate. So I worked with NASCOM. I worked with many different initiatives within China, where we tried to set up IT corridor. So ATCS actually built the business to business platform where a Chinese company can put a request and Indian company in India can deliver a service for that request. So this was a governmental initiative. This was between the China government, which was set up we set up IT corridor between India and China in 3 locations, which is in China, that is in Guiyang, in Wuhan, in Suzhou, and in Dalian. Wuhan is something that we were planning, but that did not happen. But we actually tried as an Indian IT group. So as a part of the Indian IT in China, we took a look at how we can grow the Indian IT presence within China. So it was, the initiatives was led by my ex boss from Infosys and TCS CEO. They were leading the initiative, and I was supporting them to see how we can actually improve our Indian IT presence in China. So we also worked with NASSCOM very closely. NASSCOM is the IT overall board for India that tries to grow Indian IT across different countries. So as a country head, I got a lot of different experience, from managing the financials to managing the team to managing the customer to be innovative. So this was something that was my personal experience from multiple different ways. So I think what has helped is always to try and be out of your comfort zone. Set your learning targets. As a student, as an employee, as a manager, always set your learning targets for what you want to learn in this role or in the next role. Don't look at it from a perspective that what do I get? Is it a salary? Is it something else? Or what is it because you can always prioritize personal self to learning or other things. But I would suggest that as youngsters, life is all going to be about learning. I want to come to that also, because now the technology trend is changing so much that learning is going to be continuous. You will always learn till probably when you're 60 or you retire, or even after that, you'll still be learning. So this is my perspective from a personal part. But then I would go on to the next part in terms of technology industry and expectations from youth. So this is the second part of today's session. Yeah. So in technology industry, because I have worked with technology industry, but why this is important for all of you is also very so right now we see that for technology itself, IT industry, now IT industry has gone from a business enabler, that is, previously you had office, MS Office, or you had some small things that helped your business, like just improved efficiency in some way. So it used to be an enabler of business, to now where IT is actually driving business, in the sense that now most of the things that are being done are primarily on IT platforms, like be it Airbnb or Uber or other things. They are driving the business. The experience of the customer, the way you're able to sell products, everything is dependent on the technology that you have. So if you look at it, in technology industry, previously we used to be very happy. When I was in college, it was okay, I learned Java, I learned this, and because of learning a particular language, I could get a job. But it is going to change for a lot of people, everybody actually, because now you have business, but you have technology that is going to drive your business. So no matter whether you are going to be doing your accounts, or whether you're going to do finance, or supply chain or something else, you have to adapt technology to make yourself successful. You have to keep learning and changing as a part of it. Why this mindset is very important is because previously people were focused on skills. They wanted to understand technology skill like Java or J2E or SAP or something like that. But now you have to understand the business and how your technology can help the business. You have to be able to really make a business impact. And this is going to become more and more and more, because no matter whether you're a finance professional or someone else, you will have to use technology, or you will have to build technology that will drive your business. So everybody has to have a very different mindset when it comes to the future of technology. The second thing, which is going to be across a lot of jobs, is now people are very happy with the kind of a career path that, okay, I will have accounts and I will do many years of accounts, and I can grow as a financial son. So some people will have a certain sector that, okay, I'm going to have 6 7 years of technical, then I'll become project manager, then I'll go something else. But a lot of the jobs that are there today may not exist in a few years time. If especially if you're going to be in a lower end job, it may become automated. Today they're already talking about getting the whole lawyers this one manual on a robot, so that you can get the consultation done by a robot, or you can even get many of your financial predictions and accounting already done by automation. You may not need so much of manual presence. You may have thought that, okay, as a technical person, you'll have a lot of jobs available. But the thing is, if you're going to be in the lower end of technology, your job will more or less not exist after some time. That is going to be the reality. Maybe it is 10 years, 20, 15 years, but it is going to happen. A lot of the low value jobs are going to go. So you have to set your aim very high. You have to start learning and changing and always be ready to adapt, because this is going to be the way how the next generation of jobs are going to change. This is one thing. And then in terms of changing technology and models, what I wanted to say is, previously knowledge was the importance. How much you knew about a subject was very important. Now you have Google for everything. Now you have a lot of other tools for everything. So knowledge is not your only differentiator. You have to start looking at how to adapt, how to use, how to utilize different things. And then there is a personal talent that may be more required. Maybe in the future, your talent in maybe something completely unrelated, like art, may come to your use in your design or other this one, to make a differentiation between how you are able to work versus someone else. So you have to focus not on only knowledge, but also your own personal talent and skills which are personal to you, and also learn how you can keep changing and adapting to new models. So what is very because I was listening to something from McKinsey and so on. So recently they were telling that the most important trait of employees that they want to have is learnability and change. So people who can adapt to change well, and people who can continuously learn and change their method. So that is one. Second is, India has been the back office for a long time, but I think it is time to change from being a back office to building your own products, building your own platforms, building different types of services. So your models of technology will change. You have to start becoming more innovative. You have to create differentiation for surviving in the market. And also, this is in terms of how you want to contribute to India, how you want to contribute to the ecosystem around you. All these skills will play a very important role, because your innovation will help build products, will help India now to start and build its own products. Right now we are, as a country, we are very easy to use any product that is built from anywhere, from be it whether it is Facebook, whether it is TikTok, or whether it is some other application, everything is built by someone, and we are good consumers of it. We know how to use it. But I think it is time for India to start building its own products, which will be used by the rest of the world. And that is where a huge topic about China I will talk about. In terms of, are we doing good on time? I've lost track of time actually.
Yeah, it's okay. Carry on.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, sure.
You are in almost to the mid of the session, right?
Yes, yes.
Huh.
I mean, more. I have actually. There's a 20-minute video about China. We don't need to see the whole video, but we can see some 10 minutes of the video, because you mentioned that it will be a good view for some of the students. So we can put
You
that.
can just show, fly and show here and there the important thing, and you can send that link to us so that we can see later.
Actually, I have already sent it. I don't think I can play it from here because it is on YouTube.
Okay.
So it has to be played from there.
Okay.
So I have already sent the PPT and the link. Maybe if Darshan can take a look at it, it would be good.
All right. No problem.
Yeah. So I
But
will just talk about the third section. I will give about 10-15 minutes. Maybe Darshan can be ready by with the PPT in the next 5 minutes, just to show people.
yeah, Darshan, be ready with that.
Yeah, sir. Sure.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah. So in coming to China in the last decade, because I have been in China for the last uh, 12 years almost. Actually, 10 years from 2011, and then the first time I came here was 2007 to 2009. So I have spent 12 years in two different stints. And I can say that there are a lot of things that I saw in the last 10 years. That is a huge difference. When I came in 2007, China was completely new to IT. There was they looked up to Indian IT in a big way, because they thought Indian IT has a lot of talent. You have a lot of different solutions offerings. You have quality and global standards that was not available in China at that point in time. And because we were servicing the rest of the world, but China was still doing manufacturing mostly for the rest of the world. So in 2007, the world was very different when it comes to IT in China. And the last 10 years has been very different from my perspective. So this is where actually I would like to spend some time also in terms of what I have seen personally. So in 2010, 2011, when I came back, the people, China started telling that one of their key focus areas is going to be productization. And until then, we always thought China was about cheap. It was about not so dependable quality kind of products. It was about just manufacturing for the rest of the world, in the sense that it was contract manufacturing. The rest of the world is manufacturing with China's cheap labor and other things. So that was the context in 2007, 2008 when I was here, and China was manufacturing for everyone but didn't have products that could be really spoken about. But what China actually does in some way, how China works is they have a very good vision of where they want to be in 10 years, 5 years time, and they put these aggressive goals in terms of all the different subsidies, all the different industry policies that they want to make it happen. So this is they make the whole country move in a certain direction that they want to achieve. in 2010, 2011, we were really thinking that this was an impossible task, that China would build great products that would be known worldwide for its quality or standards. But if we are today, if you're talking about some of the products, India uses Oppo, Vivo, Xiaomi, and these products are now known worldwide for their quality. Huawei also has been embroiled in a lot of different this one issues, but in terms of its presence globally, it actually grew as a technology company worldwide. So they moved from being manufacturers for the world to creating products that are being used by the world. So today, I mean, I would actually tell that, what was surprising for me a few years back, I mean, 2 years back actually, was that India is probably one of the biggest IT hubs of the world. It is the we have more software talent than China for sure, but we were not really creating products or apps for India itself. If you take a look at it, last in 2019, 2020, there was a survey done, and they realized that of the top 20 apps being used in India, almost 13 to 15 apps were being funded or made by the Chinese. So this, of course, was something that was quite surprising, because India is a land of IT talent, but why was India not building that? So this is because there is a huge mindset difference between India and China right now, because Indian IT has been very comfortable with the service mindset. They have been very happy with providing low cost IT services for the rest of the world and generating a lot of jobs, generating a lot of people. So everybody is in a comfort zone. Everybody is very happy with where they are. But the thing is, they're not ready to risk putting a lot of money into creating a product which may fail, which may succeed, but somebody has to invest. People are looking at it from a quarterly perspective, but we have to consider as to why there were 15 apps being made by China in India, than just 4 or 5 of them from India. So one is the productization mindset. The last 10 years has been a lot about productization mindset, whether it is applications, whether it is creating mobile phones, whether it is to create some other new other brands like Mobike and other things. A lot of them are so that is one part of it as to how China works. There is usually one direction across, which is going to be the initiator for the whole country to move with. The second thing is, I never thought that they can lead in big data, AI, ML, machine learning, that is, from some perspective. But in the last few years, along with productization, what was being done in China was to create an ecosystem completely for the whole smart movement, in the sense that they made it mandatory for all their companies, within all their different sectors, to adopt IoT and Industry 4.0. So at some point, Industry 4.0 was a digitalization solution for the manufacturing industry, and Germany had introduced it. But China was the largest adopter across the world. So they made probably 60 to 70% of their companies, manufacturing companies, adopt Industry 4.0 standards. And with that came a lot of data collection, a lot of measurements, a lot of AI, a lot of big data related technologies, and also they started building smart cities. So if you go to Shenzhen today, the whole city has only electric vehicles for public transport. You can track on an app as to where your bus is. If there is more number of people in one stop and less number of people in one route, they automatically redirect buses so that the public can get more buses at real time. They are creating a smart ecosystem. By creating that ecosystem, by forcefully putting and making the whole city to go smart. So in that way, actually, that has been one of the key drivers within China as to how the whole country has seen a shift. Now you have a lot of companies in China doing more big data and analysis, such as for autonomous driving. There is more done in China because maybe also because there is a little lack of what do you say? It's not so strict in terms of data or in terms of personal information as the rest of the world. That gives a little bit of leverage, but that is probably something that they have ignored to get traction and make some huge progress in these areas. The third point I wanted to talk about was in terms of electric vehicle leadership. So so the world was actually focused on hybrids, on what do you say, in terms of the combustion engines, etc. And China realized in 2010 that Japanese are very strong in hybrid technology. US is very strong in ICE, and I mean German automotive cars are always among the best in terms of quality and standards. So they did not think that they will be able to compete in this space. So what they did was to create a huge drive around electrification of vehicles. So they set up a very strong target of to be completely 100% EV by 2030, and in a phase-wise manner to rule out all the different types of engine cars in China. So what this does is, first of all, it creates a supply. So there is, I don't want to get into too much of details. That, but there are how governments can work is one, they can create a supply side surge, or they can create a demand side surge. So what they do is they create the demand side surge and supply side at the same time. By supply side, they give a lot of subsidies for companies to set up a new electric vehicle company, and on the demand side they will put regulation to create the demand for new for that technology. So EV is a perfect example of that. And in that, what they have been able to achieve is there were about 400 electric vehicle companies set up between 2014 or 13 till around 2019. So there were about 400 of them. And right now, BYD as a company, it exports most of the public electric vehicles to Norway. It is already exporting all its public buses to the South American countries. So it has created the biggest public transport buses of EVs that are for export. So now countries are actually buying that. Someone has raised a hand.
Yes, sir. My name is Manish Kumar. The thing that you told about the supply and demand, the way China creates that, do you think it can also be implemented in India? Because China is not really a democracy, so they can take harsh decisions even against the large corporate companies. But I don't think so that can happen in India because it's a democracy and it needs to go through a lot of rules and regulations. Uh, so can you explain on that?
Yeah, I mean, so when it comes to this is not an easy answer for anyone. So this is what makes it successful out here. In India, actually, we have the vote bank politics, and we have a lot of popularism things. So even if the idea is very good, sometimes it is put down just because they don't want it to be that person's idea. So somehow, the being here, my personal belief is that we need that kind of unification. We need what the government has done right now, like implementing GST was implemented across all of India, which is something that is on the same lines. Otherwise, always it is, whether you can implement, whether you cannot implement. There's always a question. But I think the governments have to take these decisions and try to move in one direction, and it is possible. I think everyone is now seeing that possibility. In fact, I think if you take a look at it, European Union or others are also looking at it. In India, I think this part of the association of popularism or vote bank politics versus what is good for the country and what is a direction that everyone has to move, that has to come together. And I think that can come together theoretically when we have a lot of alignment across different parts of India in the same direction. Uh, there's no easy answer to yours. Yes, that is a huge difference between a pure communist led country versus a democratic country. There are plus and minuses of both. But I think this is the direction that we have to try. Uh, in While I was working with NASCOM, India has made new regulations for EVs. They have put similar such initiatives. That is, that if you want to have an EV car rolled out in India, you have to manufacture in India, you have to source in India. So these are things that the government, as far as I know, have already done. But the thing is the scale, the ability to implement this across every location in India will still be a challenge. But I think nonetheless, we are still making some progress in that direction. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
ಒಂದು ರಿಕ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಏನಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನ ಕಡೆಗೆ ಇಟ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ, ಅವರು ಮುಗಿಸ್ಬಿಡ್ಲಿ ಮೊದಲು.
Okay. So the last part of it was digital transformation. Now, digital transformation, if we see, I would say that China has skipped one complete generation, in the sense that they started working on desktops, and then directly from desktops, they started suddenly doing everything on mobile phones. So if you see today, everybody is on WeChat. 986 million people are on WeChat, are on a smartphone, and of a population of 1.3 billion, which have some kids and some very senior adults. But almost 80 to 90% of people have access to a smartphone and are doing business and personal transactions on that on a daily basis. So the digital transformation was a huge shift in China. There was basically, as we speak today, WeChat is an ecosystem that we can talk about some other time, but you can do everything from setting up a company to doing your finances to managing your employees to having sales. Everything can be done in WeChat, and WhatsApp is still catching up in terms of that. So WeChat started as a copycat of WhatsApp, but then it combined more features and made it more. So today I don't need to go out of WeChat for anything. And this is just one example of digitalization. That is, I can book my railway tickets, I can book my plane tickets, I can do e-commerce shopping. I can do booking my food. I can pay my electricity bill. I can pay my water bill. Everything all on WeChat. Everything. So in terms of digital transformation, if you take a look at it, all our electric meters are connected to a WeChat payment. So you have digital transformation done to a very grassroots level that is kind of impacting everyone. So one of the key reasons, after 2016 that I decided to stay in China was because the digital and data kind of technologies that are being evolved in the last 4 or 5 years in China is ahead of the world curve in many ways. So I realized for myself that there's a lot of learning that I can get from this part. And this is something that we can then use in India, in other places to kind of leverage. So if I keep my ultimate goal as to be an entrepreneur or set up some things, at least I can derive a lot of learnings from these aspects. So with that, I would like to maybe Darshan can just put this video for some time, just for we can go a little fast. I will tell you. So this is the link on the PPT, Darshan. I have already shared this. Maybe if you can, yeah.
ದರ್ಶನ್ ಸೌಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ಮಾಡು.
And of this made in China. For years, this slogan has been associated with cheap products of dubious quality. However, in the third decade of the 21st century, this notion has begun to poorly reflect reality. In fact, the development of technology has become one of the main engines of Chinese growth. What is the current status of China's technological transformation? Welcome to the 20s Report.
The end of the words assembly line.
Since the initiation of reforms by Deng Xiaoping at the turn of the 1970s and 1980s, China has entered a path of dynamic development driven by investment, industrial development, and productivity growth. Lured by a cheap workforce, low labor, and environmental standards, and the promise of a growing market, international corporations from Japan, the US, South Korea, and Europe began moving more labor-intensive parts of production chains to China. In the 2010s, the expansive growth dynamics began to decline, and Chinese authorities began to look for a more sustainable model based on internal consumption, technology, and innovation. Until recently, China was associated with the world's assembly plant, where international corporations assemble their products, while their designs and the most expensive components are created abroad. Apple's smartphones are a symbol of such a policy. Based on IHS Markit's estimated factory costs, just $8.46, or 3.6% of the total value, was generated in China. For years, the goal of the authorities in Beijing has been to advance in global value chains, changing from the role of the world's assembly plant to a center of design and production of goods with the highest added value. Since 2000, China has been investing heavily in research and development, which is to make it possible to catch up with the technological level of world tycoons such as the USA, Japan, South Korea, or the European Union. In 2018, China's total spending on this goal reached $462.5 billion US dollars, slightly less than the United States, but more than the EU, and also more than Japan. According to the estimates of the State Bureau of Statistics, in 2019, China allocated 2.23% of GDP to research and development. This is a huge increase compared to the beginning of the 21st century, when it was less than 1%. In addition, over the years, there have been activities related to forced technology transfers, copying of foreign solutions, and/or industrial espionage. Progress is particularly visible in the telecommunications and digital sectors.
Huawei P40 series.
Huawei has been one of the leading smartphone manufacturers for a long time, and recently companies such as Xiaomi, Oppo, and Vivo have joined this narrow group. Symptomatic for this process is the expansion of Chinese digital companies such as Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent, whose total value is currently estimated at $1 trillion US. BAT has now almost completely dominated digital services in China and is one of the leading companies in the artificial intelligence sector. In the ranking of the World Intellectual Property Organization and Cornell University, China has improved its assessment of the ICT sector from 36.1 in 2014 up to 74.5 in 2019. For comparison, in the same period, the US index increased from 83 to 89 on a 100-point scale. Thus, China improved its result by more than 100% over the 5 years and significantly shortened the distance between it and the USA.
Technological autonomy.
The 14th Five-Year Development Plan, announced in October 2020, made technological autonomy one of the pillars of China's development strategy. This is expected not only to double GDP by 2035, while overtaking the US at around 2028, but also to let China become independent from critical components for its technological industries. In 2015, the authorities published the semi-official Made in China 2025 strategy with the goal of achieving an advantage in strategic production sectors and increasing the share of domestically produced components to 40% in 2020 and up to 70% in 2025. The creation of an independent high-tech industry has become a developmental and strategic imperative for China. Due to the growing standard of living and increased wages, China is gradually ceasing to be a country of cheap labor, and negative demographic trends force the need to transform the current developmental model. Since 2009, the average wage in Chinese industry has increased from 26,600 yuan all the way up to 72,000 yuan in 2018, which is around 11,000 US dollars. The realities of working for the proverbial bowl of rice are becoming increasingly rare. By 2050, the working age population is expected to decrease by about 23%, or about 200 million people, which means that China must focus on increasing productivity and dominating the high-tech sector. The government is also moving away from the concept of expansive growth at the expense of the environment, as evidenced most clearly by Xi Jinping's speech at the UN in September 2020, in which he announced an ambitious plan to achieve carbon neutrality in China by 2060.
Also, take on directly the challenges posed by our prosperity, security, and democratic values by our most serious competitor, China.
Key to Chinese efforts to advance technology is the United States.
This video can be seen. I mean, it's a very interesting 18-minute
With
video.
which China
But I don't want to go into too much of details for now, but at least it gives you a gist of what is currently in China, what is happening, and where they're kind of headed in terms of different aspects. But this 18-minute video, you can always look at it from your own side later on.
Yeah.
But at least until here, it kind of gives you the gist.
Chat box.
Sorry.
Yeah, sir. I will share the link in chat box also now, so that
Yes.
You can proceed, Vishwaraaj.
Sure. So I will share my screen. Also, maybe Darshan, if you stop here. Okay. So yeah, I mean, in terms of that, just to kind of talk about the same points that maybe also Manish kind of mentioned. Yes, of course. I mean, in terms of the governments, there are differences between the two countries and other things, but that exists for every country across the world and in comparison to China. But in terms of what you can do would be a more important question in terms of how to plan the next future. What are the things that we should be looking at? I think largely why things have been successful is they have had the vision of going from services or making for some other companies to developing their own products. I think in India right now we have the large companies, even for that perspective, the big five companies, the number of products or number of go-to-market solutions which are packaged as a whole solution itself, like a B2C solution, very few. I mean, there are almost no, there are very few solutions that some of our companies actually create or invest in and risk that investment in terms of trying to get some return or to get some traction. That kind of mindset has to change. I think essentially, if we are going to be focused about services and more and more automation is going to take away services jobs, then we have to reinvent ourselves and try to start looking at how we can solve real world problems. That real world problems can be something that is in your community. It can be how within today's world, if you're there, you can make something more available for the corona patients, or maybe for creating a small platform to help exchange good ideas or to connect people who are in need to something that is on. So we are actually being quite innovative recently in terms of how to handle corona. But this is an example that we have to take in terms of creating our own products, creating our own solutions to solve some real world problems, both for an Indian market and for a global market. I think one thing I can say is as a difference, because China was a little protectionist about some of their applications to grow. And second thing is the language. Here, actually, China, if you have to succeed in China, there are a lot of dependencies on you on the app to be very Chinese friendly or very Chinese business friendly. But in India, we are very good adopters. We adopt anything. We can adopt Facebook, we can adopt Google, we can adopt YouTube. We adopt very well. So that is why we don't really look at creating a specific solution for India alone, because we seem to adopt some. So what we have to start looking at is to see how we can probably use India as an ecosystem, because the next 10-20 years, my opinion is 20 to 30 years is going to be the age of the youth in India. We will be the most youngest population of the world. the kind of market that we will have, that has to be targeted, that is something that we can look at. We have to start looking at solutions to target our Indian market and start building Indian ecosystem better. Each of you have to take a look at how to move up from a low value job to higher intellect jobs. Put yourself out of that comfort zone, learn new skills, learn and contribute to your ecosystem. It can be to the community in the place. It can be about trying to make a difference to the startup ecosystem. In China, I actually go and visit a lot of the startup ecosystems. So I see what are the new ideas that are coming, how people are getting funded, what are the kind of challenges that they're facing. So I keep myself very engaged by attending many of these seminars, talking to a lot of people. So I think a lot of you also will have to start doing these initiatives. Don't focus only on your job, but also focus on a lot of other things that can bring value. And set high goals to contribute to society in different ways. Because we have a mixed set of people ranging from technology to accounts to other things. But at the end of the day, look at what is your contribution there and see what you can change. That is what I would like to leave it up to everyone with, in the sense that in today's age, it is very easy for all of us to become comfortable. It's very easy to find a job and a higher paying job, and the next job will be better paying, and etc., etc. But I think we have to start to prioritize what is it that we are learning. If we continue in this role for more than 2 years, 3 years, will we be redundant? What can we do to our ecosystem around? So these are questions that you always have to keep asking yourself and people around, and also look at it. So again, I think I go back to my original statement that growth happens outside of your comfort zone, and try to be always challenging yourself to be outside of that comfort zone. So we can open up to question and answers now. I hope I have answered many of the topics that you would want. Maybe we can have some discussions. Yeah, I see that there are some ones. Okay, I don't see any questions asked yet, but feel free to ask any questions. Maybe I can change. I stop sharing.
ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಸುಮಾರು 1.5 ಗಂಟೆಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಆ ಪ್ರೆಸೆಂಟೇಷನ್ ತೋರಿಸ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಇದೊಂದು ವಿಷಯನ ಮಂದಿರಂನ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಜೊತೆ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಎಷ್ಟು ಜನಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಯ್ತು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನ್ಗಿನ್ನೂ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆ. ಯಾಕೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ನನಗನ್ಸೋದು, ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದ್ನಲ್ಲ ಮುಂಚೆ, ವ್ಯಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಯಾರ ವ್ಯಾಂಟೇಜ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅನ್ನೋದ್ರ ಮೇಲೆ ಬಹುಶಃ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿದೆ, ಎಷ್ಟು ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅವರು ಕ್ಲಿಯರ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಗಳು, ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ರಿಲೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ ಅದು ನಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಗೆ ಅರ್ಥ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬಹುದು. ಈಗ ಅವರು ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಗಳು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಇಂದ ಆಚೆ ಬರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ, ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ, ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಮೈಂಡ್ ಸೆಟ್ ಇರಬೇಕು ಅಂತ, ಮತ್ತೆ ನಮ್ ಕೆಲಸ ಇದು ಅಂತ ಅಂದ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ನಾವು ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಅಥವಾ ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸದಿಂದ ಆಚೆ ಇರುವಂತ ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವು ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದಿದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಈ ತರದ್ದೆಲ್ಲ ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್, ಅದೊಂದು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವ. ಅದು ಮಂದಿರಂನಲ್ಲಿ ಇರಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಬಹುಶಃ ವಾರಕ್ಕೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಕೇಳಿರ್ತೀರ, ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಅಂತ. ಅದೊಂಥರ ಪದಗಳ ತರ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಯಾವಾಗ್ಲೂ ನಮ್ ಕಿವಿ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಮೇಕಿಂಗ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ ಬಿಲ್ಡಿಂಗ್ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ರು, ವಿವೇಕಾನಂದರು ಹೇಳಿದಂತ ಮಾತಿದು, ಇದೆಲ್ಲ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರೋ ವಿಷಯ. ಅವರು ಇನ್ನೂ ಒಂದ್ ಮಾತು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು, ಗಿವ್ ಮಿ 100 men, ಐ ಚೇಂಜ್ ದ ಫೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ದಿಸ್ ಕಂಟ್ರಿ ಅಂತ. ಅದು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಸುಮಾರು 100 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದಿನ ಮಾತದು. ಬಟ್ ಆ ಮಾತುಗಳ ಅರ್ಥ ಏನು ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಹೇಳಿದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಷಯಗಳು ಬಹುಶಃ ನಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ನಾಟುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದಾಗ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಯಾರು ಮಂದಿರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇದ್ದೀರಾ ಇವಾಗ, ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಕೂತಿರೋದು ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತಿದ್ದೆ. ನೀವು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಊರಿನಲ್ಲಿ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಜನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕೂಲ್ನಲ್ಲಿ ಓದಂತವ್ರು ಅಲ್ಲೇ ಎಲ್ಲಾದ್ರೂ ಬೇರೆ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಹತ್ರದ ಕಾಲೇಜಿಗೆ ಸೇರ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು, ನಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಹತ್ರ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ಬೋದು. ಆದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಜನ ಆ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಇದೆಯಲ್ಲ, ಮನೇಲಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋ ತರದ್ದು ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಬಂದು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕೂತಿದ್ದೀರಿ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ನೀವು ಆ ಕಂಫರ್ಟ್ ಝೋನ್ ಅನ್ನ ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಬದುಕುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಮನಸ್ಥಿತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಇದ್ದೀರಿ. ಅದನ್ನ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನೀವು ಅರ್ಥ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ನೀವು ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಸರಿಯಾಗಿ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೀವಿ, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಆಪರ್ಚುನಿಟಿ ಇದೆ, ಯಾವ್ದನ್ನ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂತ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮಂದಿರದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಿದ್ರೆ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ಅಂತ ದಿನ ಬೆಳಗಾದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇನಿಷಿಯೇಟಿವ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಮಾಡುವಂತ ಸಾವಿರಾರು ಕೆಲಸ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ನಾವು ಏನಾದ್ರು ಮಾಪಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಕಸ ಗುಡಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅಂತ ಯಾರಿಗಾರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಹೆಂಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅಂತ ಕೆಲವೊಂದ್ಸಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದ್ರ ಬದಲು ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿರುವಂತ, ಮಂದಿರಂನಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕಲ್ತ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಆಗಿರುವಂತ, ನಾವು ಮಂದಿರಂ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತಲಿನ ವಾತಾವರಣವನ್ನ ಸರಿ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ತೊಡಗಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು, ನಾವು ಹೇಗೆ ಕಾಂಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಅದು. ಮತ್ತು ಅದು ಕೂಡ ನಮ್ಮ ಕ್ಯಾರೆಕ್ಟರ್ಗೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿತ್ವಕ್ಕೆ ಸಹಕಾರಿಯಾಗಬಹುದಾದಂತ ವಿಷಯ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಬಹುಶಃ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ಪದೇ ಪದೇ ಒತ್ತಿ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಿದ್ದು. ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಒಂದ್ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ನಾವು ಇಂಟರ್ನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾವ್ದಾದ್ರು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕೇಳಬಹುದು.
Hello sir, myself Anirudh. You are talking about the development of different kinds of technology in China.
Engineering background.
Myself Anirudh from BMS College of Engineering.
Okay.
I am pursuing a civil engineering branch in that college. I have a doubt that you are talking about the development of technology in China. So what kind of advertisements are they creating to produce that kind of awareness in people, so that it's being so worldwide among the citizens of other countries? I wanted to know the kind of advertisements they are producing.
Okay.
Of
So normally what they're trying to do is not exactly advertisements. They're not trying to actually advertise their technology right now as much. But what they're trying to do is first they do a policy. Once they do the policy, every company that is within working within China has to follow it. So that means that if you do a policy that you have to adopt, so for example, they do real-time monitoring of an electric vehicle. Now, this is a huge technological change to monitor any vehicle in China. Now, this is a policy that they implement, and now then every company, be it whether it is Daimler, Volkswagen, or someone else, they have to follow that up. And that helps them improve the technology, and then they start exporting it, telling that we already have a solution now. We've built it and done it in China. Now we can implement it in your country also. So in some way, China is usually the testing ground. Then after that, what they do is in terms of policies, or they work with other countries to propagate their this one. They do trade agreements to start propagating their own companies in those countries. So like in India, Xiaomi has set up a plant, Media has set up a plant. There are a lot of companies that have set up plants in India based on some trade agreements that were done with this one. And then you know how Oppo, Vivo, and all advertise. So they advertise their products anyway as companies. I hope I addressed that question, but
Are you satisfied? Yeah. As you rightly said, policy making is the first key actually. And that's how the ideas trickle down to the further levels. If somebody wants to ask question, you can mail it also, since our time is up. And
ಚಾಟ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ರು ಕೇಳಿದ್ರು.
ಟೈಮ್
ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇದೆ ಈ ಚಾಟ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ, ಅದನ್ನ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಅಥವಾ ಅವರು ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊಬೋದು?
Yeah, I can take that up.
After that, we shall conclude.
Sure. So, in terms of healthcare, I would. So my view of healthcare right now is not very. In terms of China, if you take a look at healthcare, they have been very good adopters. They have adopted allopathy. They had Chinese medicine, but they have adopted allopathy. But the way of the Chinese healthcare system is very different because in China, everything is public hospital. So there are no doctors. There are no individual people who are going to treat. So everything is managed by the government from the overall healthcare system. That is the hospitals, the drugs that can be issued in China. But what they have started doing is to track your overall data, in the sense that what was your past history, what is your current problems, where is the relationships, etc. So they have a very good view of that. But I wouldn't say that in terms of healthcare systems that they are much ahead. But what they're doing in terms of some of the manufacturing parts for healthcare devices, there has been a lot of progress. So there are a lot of devices that are being invented or even produced in China, which are now then making a market elsewhere in terms of that. But the system by itself is very different between China and the rest of the world.
ಅಭಿಷೇಕ್ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಇಲ್ಲ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾರ್ದು ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಹೇಗಿದ್ರು ಅವರು ಮೇಲ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಆಫ್ಲೈನ್ ಕಾಂಟ್ಯಾಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಬಹುದು. ಬಟ್
ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ, ನಾವು ಆಮೇಲೆ ಟೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ಕೂಡ ಮಾಡೋಣ. Vishwaraaj, you can just
yes, I'm sending my mail, so please send any queries to me.
ನಾವು ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ ಅಂತ್ಯಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಬಟ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವರು ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣನ್ನ ತೆಗೆಸಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಅನ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ. ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ನಾನು ಹೇಳಿದಾಗೆ ಆಗ್ಲೇ ಪ್ರಪಂಚ ನಮ್ಮಿಂದ ಏನನ್ನ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೆಕ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದೆ, ನಾವು ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಗೆ ತಯಾರಾಗಬೇಕು. ಮತ್ತು ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದ ಒಂದಷ್ಟು ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ಗಳು, ನಮ್ಮ ಎಜುಕೇಶನ್ ಏನಿದೆ, ನಮ್ಮ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ, ನಾವು ಈಗ ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ PUC ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವುದೋ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದರಿಂದ ಆಮೇಲೆ ಪೋಸ್ಟ್ ಗ್ರಾಜುಯೇಷನ್ಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತೀವಿ, ಅದೆಲ್ಲೋ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾವುದೋ PhD ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ. ಅವ್ರು ಹೇಳಿದೊಂದು, ಅದು ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ಅ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಅಂತ. ಆ ಸ್ಟಾರ್ಟಿಂಗ್ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಇಂದ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಸಾಫ್ಟ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಅವರು ತುಂಬಾ ಸ್ಟ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ಕಲೀಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿ ಮಂದಿರದ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿದ್ದಿರಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಬಹುಶಃ ಒಂದು ಪ್ರಶಸ್ತವಾದ ಜಾಗದಲ್ಲಿದ್ದೀರಿ ಆ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರಿಗಿಂತ ಮುಂದೆ ಹೋಗೋದಕ್ಕೆ. ಇದೆಲ್ಲವನ್ನ ನೀವೊಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಈ ಪ್ರೋಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಆದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನೀವೇ ಕೂತು ಅನಲೈಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಹೋದ್ರೆ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರಗಳು ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಸ್ಪಷ್ಟವಾಗ್ತಾ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ ನನ್ಗೆ ಅನ್ಸುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರಗಳ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ನಮ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಒಂದು ಈ ವಿಚಾರದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕಾದ್ರೂ ಒಂದು ಡೈರೆಕ್ಷನ್ ಅನ್ನ ತೋರಿಸ್ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತ ಶ್ರೀಯುತ ವಿಶ್ವರಾಜ್ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿಗೆ ಚೈನಾದಿಂದ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ನಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಹಂಚಿಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿ ಮಂದಿರದ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಹಾಗೂ ಝೂಮ್ ಮೂಲಕ ಕನೆಕ್ಟ್ ಆದಂತ ಎಲ್ಲ ಆಡಿಯನ್ಸ್ಗಳ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ.
ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಆಯೋಜನೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟು ಅವರನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳಿಗೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಆಗ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅನುಕೂಲ ಮಾಡಿಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಂತ ಸ್ವಾಮೀಜಿಗಳಿಗೂ ನಾನು ವಿನಯಪೂರ್ವಕವಾಗಿ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ತಿಳಿಸ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಯಸ್ತೇನೆ.
You have delivered more than expected, Vishwaraaj. I have nothing more to say. As our Abhishek was telling, it's an eye-opener for many of them. We were sitting in our den and looking the world. Now you have taken us to a very high pedestal and given us a aerial view or a overall view, both in terms of the country as well as an individual. As you were referring to microfinance and macrofinance. So that was a nice overview what you gave. Now it's time for us to contemplate and point out the loopholes and build, strengthen our skills, both hard and soft. And also Mandiram is going to provide an atmosphere, but ultimately it all depends on an individual, how much he exercises, how much he adapts, how much he absorbs. That's what makes a big difference. So I'm happy that you have added some valuable ideas to young minds of our SRVM. On behalf of all of them, I thank you, and we welcome you again to speak about WeChat. I have not forgotten, because WeChat is revolutionizing the whole context. In fact, I have heard a little bit, all in tidbits of course, but we would like to know it so that we will be ahead of times. You know, now we are struggling with the WhatsApp, whether to retain it or to delete it, because we don't have a substitute for it. We have become addicted. Adaptiveness is something different. Now we have addicted ourselves, unable to give up, and have no other source also. So somebody has to source for us. That's how it is. So let the young minds think of take these ideas and build something new for our own country, homemade or home built. Let this program trigger those ideas. That's what I pray to Sri Ramakrishna and Holy Mother Sharda Devi and Swami Vivekananda. Let them shower the blessings in the form of innovation, in the form of leading our country to the greater heights. And also, my dear student friends, I would like to tell you, every Saturday till our hostel reopens or in a full-fledged form, like you are coming here and staying till that time, every Saturday we will be having a program like this between 6:15 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. So whether you get a link or not, or whatever the problem, you please be connected, search for the link and be connected. And some of them today have got network issues. I got messages also, but now next week onwards, you go and sit in such a place where you get the network, because you should be hungry for ideas. That shows your interest. Don't just blame network illa, illi sikta illa, computer mobile ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ, ನಿಮ್ಮ ತಲೆ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕು. ಮಿಕ್ಕಿದ್ದೆಲ್ಲನೂ ಕೂಡ ಏನು ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೂ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ ಈ ಪ್ರಪಂಚದಲ್ಲಿ. ಸೊ ಪ್ರಿಪೇರ್ ಯುವರ್ ಸೆಲ್ಫ್ ಫಾರ್ ದ ಕಮಿಂಗ್ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ಸ್ ಆಲ್ಸೋ. ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಆನ್ ವೆಡ್ನೆಸ್ಡೇಸ್ I'll let you know the time, whether it is in the morning or in the evening. Again we shall meet and do group prayers, and also few instructions I would like to share. So from this week onwards, every coming Wednesday and Saturdays we shall meet, and those who want some connection link etc, you may contact me or Satvik or Darshan, or put on to our SRBM tablet, that 9606 888 999, so that we can be connected. So wish you please take care of your health, of your parents also, of your neighbors, relatives. Let us be all careful and go out of the ongoing problem. Let us work together, let us face the problem together, let us come out of the problem together. With this, I thank all of you for giving your valuable time to hear some great futuristic ideas. And again I thank wish you also for sharing your giving your valuable time for all of us. So with the Jaikar, I request Abhishek to close. First we shall chant Priyatam, then you can give Jaikar, Abhishek. This is the last Mangala anta ಹೇಳ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ ವಿಷು, something like that. We offer everything to the God. ಆಮೇಲೆ ಕಡೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಜೈಕಾರ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಜೈ ಅಂತ you can join.
Thanks, Gurudev, for the opportunity.
प्रियतां पुण्डरीकाक्षः सर्वयज्ञेश्वरो हरिः, तस्मिन् सृष्टे जगद्दृष्टं प्रीणिते प्रीणितं जगत्. हरि ओम तत्सत्. श्रीरामकृष्णार्पणमस्तु.
जयकर कोरोण. जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की
जय.
जय श्री महामाई की
जय.
जय श्री स्वामी जी महाराज जी की
जय. जय श्री गणेश भगवान जी की जय. जय श्री सरस्वती देवी की जय.
जय.
नमस्ते.